Let us answer the last question. A rancher has 300 feet of fencing to enclose two adjacent pastures as seen in the figure. Write the total area A of the two pastures as a function of x and determine also the domain of A. Find the dimensions that yield the maximum amount of area for the pastures. Given the figure, we can say that this is y and this is y since these are two rectangles. And from here, we have an equation 3x plus 4y to be equal to 300 because the total length of the fence is said to be 300 feet. So they should sum up to 300. The first question asks us to write the total area of the two pastures combined. And it is also explicitly said in the problem that we should write it as a function of x. If the usual area formula would give us A equals length times width, or x times y in this case, however, we still need to multiply it by 2 because we have two pastures. This then should be expressed in terms of x. A of x then becomes 2 times x times 300 minus 3x all over 4. Furthermore, we can simplify this to x times 300 minus 3x all over 2. If we simplify this further, we see that this is negative 3 over 2x squared plus 150x. Hence, this is a function which has a graph of a parabola opening downwards. The second part of the first question wants to determine the domain of A. How do we do that? Given a quadratic function that represents an area, we have to determine for which points this function is positive. Of course, area needs to be positive. And what method do we use to determine when is this function positive? We use our method of table of signs. And since this is the factored form of the function, we can now easily get its zeros. It tells us that x is 0 or that 300 minus 3x is 0. Here we get from the equation on the left that x is 0 or that 300 is equal to 3x, which gives us x to be 100. From there, we create our table of signs. 0, 100, x, 300 minus 3x, x times 300 minus 3x all over 2. Notice that even if we divide it by 2, there won't be much change in the signs because 2 is a positive number. Anyway, going further in our table of signs, this should be 0 and this should also be 0. On the left of 0, of course, x is negative. And on the left of 100, for example, let's consider 0, it is on the left of 100. We see that the expression 300 minus 3x becomes positive. And on the right, it is negative. We simplify this becomes negative 0, positive 0, negative. Again, since this is an area function, we are only interested for the values of x that would give us positive area. And we can see that it is on the interval 0 to 100 exclusively. And hence, this is the domain of A of x. Now we can proceed to the second question. Find the dimensions that yield the maximum area for the pastures. There is a big difference between the question here and the question that was discussed in our classroom discussion. In this particular question, we are just interested to know the dimensions that yields the maximum area. We have no interest in the maximum area itself. However, we will still approach the problem using the same method that we have used in class. That is, we have to locate the vertex. The vertex V has two components, H and K, which is given by, I hope you still remember the formula, negative b all over 2a and 4ac minus b squared all over 4a. However, again, since the problem is asking for the dimension and not the area, I hope it is clear to you that we are not going to evaluate this part of the coordinate. Why so? Because this is your x coordinate and this is your a of x coordinate. This is the dimension and this is the area. Again, if that is not clear, just look at your function. Your function is a of x. it is not your y. It is not the dimension y. It is an area function. And we are not interested for the area. We are interested at dimensions. Okay? So let's solve for x. We won't solve for a of x.
But before proceeding on solving the value of x, we need to understand and recall that this is your A and this is your B. So plugging it in our formula,
X then becomes negative 150 all over 2 times 3 over 2, or simply negative 150 over, oh, sorry, I forgot the negative here, over negative 3, x becomes 50. So if x is 50, using this equation would then result to y equals 300 minus 3 times 50 all over 4, or simply 300 minus 150 over 4. 150 over 4, or 75 over 2, which is 37.5 feet. Oh, I forgot feet for the 50. These then are the dimensions that would yield the maximum amount of area for the two pastures. So, how did you do? Were you able to answer the problems correctly? At which parts were you correct? Are there any parts that you were incorrect? Were you able to see how to do them properly next time? If you have further questions, please let me know. Contact me via my email or see you next week in our class. Bye.